What up, what up, what up? Oh, what up, what up, what up? Still getting used to this YouTube live situation. But I hope everybody's had a great start to the day. Welcome to another No Cap Conversations. If you're watching the replay, what's up? Make sure you hit that subscribe and that notification bell. And if you are coming from IG Style Architects, then I appreciate you for joining me here. Today, I wanted to continue our conversation that we started out yesterday, with this being the presidential election thing that everybody's talking about. I wanted to make sure that we were being mindful of how that actually is not, how that's going to affect our lives, of course, but how that also affects, or how these situations actually affect our life and style. Because in this situation, what it has brought to my attention is that a lot more things are subjective than we actually give credence to. We'll say that one person is right and one person is wrong, definitively, as if there's no wiggle room for any gray areas. And if you're feeling anything, make sure you give me a thumbs up, or if you have any questions that you want to ask, by all means, don't hesitate to ask them in the comment box, and I'll respond to them as they come. But the reason why this is so important is because I've seen this in the style space as well. So we're going to talk always here on No Cap Conversations about life and style and the importance of both of those as well. And so when I was thinking about it, I kept on saying, like, so many guys are worried about just being right and being correct and making sure that everything is on point in life as well as in style, forgetting that the mistakes are going to happen and that they're necessary. And even in the mistakes that we make, they may not be mistakes. They may just be an alternate train of thought or alternate perspective that actually could have some merit or some benefit to us. And so we need to be very careful about how we are approaching situations and making somebody wrong for their perspective and or their belief, because it doesn't give us any opportunity to connect. All it creates is conflict. And I'm guilty of this too. My own perspective or my own upbringing and my own points of view can sometimes overshadow or diminish or dismiss other people's perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that I subscribe to them or I even believe in them, but they still have a perspective, and that perspective should still be respected and engaged and explored and appreciated for where it is. I've seen people ending lifelong friendships, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3 years. I'm talking about people who've known each other for 15, 20 years over the last 4 years of this presidency. And I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And they'll respond to me like, well, if they had this, if they've been thinking this way, then they must have thought this way their whole life, whether they were Democrats or Republicans. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. We should be able to have a difference of opinion, a difference of perspective, and still be able to build together, right? And not only that, we also see situations where we are dealing with people, especially when it comes to the style space. I know I've been guilty of being judgmental of a person who has a different style expression, and understanding that while they may know the rules, they may be experts in the spaces of rules and personal expression, they may have a different way of expressing it. And so I've seen guys, and this has been something that has been imposed on me, I'll see guys who are classic style people. They believe in following the rules to a T. I believe in proper proportions. I believe in proper scale. I believe in proper pattern mixing. All these things. I've read all the books. G. Bruce Boyer, Alan Flusser. Who else am I thinking of? Scott Schumann. All these great people. Simon Crompton. All of these people on classic style. My man Hugo Giacomo, right? All these people who talk about classic style in very profound and proficient ways, and then they will go and break every single one of those rules. I'm not a person who breaks every single one of the rules, but I have a different perspective when it comes to style. And we forget that even though you may be right in the basic principles of what you're expressing, you could be way off and wrong on my personal expression or the execution of my personal expression. Like, a lot of people will say, you wear a lot of colors, you wear a lot of patterns, and I've had people who say that doesn't work. And when I ask them why, they immediately go to the rules. And then we take a picture and they see how everything flows together. Whether it's because of a matte finish on one of my patterns or a sheen on another of my patterns that makes things stand out. And they can see the versatility of the expression. That's why that old adage of you need to know the rules in order to break them is so important. And in life as well in style, so many of us are talking about things that we don't necessarily understand the foundational principles or the rules too. So when I'm talking to somebody about anything, I could be talking to somebody about film and they don't understand why a movie is subpar, right? From a technical standpoint. Then it may have been entertaining or maybe one of their favorite movies and they enjoy it, and that's great, but the movie's trash because A, B, C, D. And they're like, no, but it was such a good movie. And I'm like, to who? And they're like, man, I loved it. Yeah, that's you. That's one person. So let's go look at the stats. Let's go look at the averages for what the response here was. Or when I'm talking to people about books or writing and how to properly express themselves, people will come back to me, because I'm not an expert, and will say, this is structurally not cohesive. It doesn't make any sense for me. It gets me confused. And I'm like, well, how are you gonna say that it's gonna get you confused? And they say A, B, C, D. And I say, oh, okay, yeah, that does make sense. I do see where I need some punctuation here, where this may have been a run-on sentence, all of these different types of things. And so we have to be very intentional with making sure that the base level of what we're talking about, the foundational principles, that framework that we're going to start developing our personal style in, is sound. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be right, but we're going to talk about 3 things that you need to be paying attention to consciously, constructively, and then communication wise that need to happen. One of those things is that they need to be sound, right? It needs to have a sound principle. So it needs to have a sound thought process that you're going through in order to get to your end goal. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're all over the place, or we're talking about whataboutisms, or they're making straw man arguments or logical fallacies, or we are deviating from the subject at hand so that they can try to get to their point or to make their point correct, then I understand that consciously they don't have a process that they're going through that is going to be systematic in getting us to the end, or they're not going to stay on topic. And if they're not going to stay on topic, what that does is that creates a shaky foundation for whatever their argument or their perspective is. And the same thing is true in style. We're going to talk about why that is in 1 second. But you have that. So then I'm confused. Not only have you created confusion, but now I don't really feel like you know what you're talking about. You created a unstable foundation, or that you are an expert that you may be talking about on that level of your foundation. And then lastly, what that creates is that creates conflict and not the ability to connect, and a bit of chaos within that conversation. And this is why we have people ending those friendships that are long-standing. Well, the same thing is true in your personal style. If you do not have a clear direction, and if you are not understanding that there needs to be a logical, systematic process for how you're showing up and what you are looking to present, then what you are going to do is you're going to create a shaky foundation for your identity, or the integrity of your identity, because it's going to express that you don't really know who you are or what you're about. There's so many guys out here who show up street one day, who show up prep another day, who show up sartorial another day, and they think that they're executing at the maximum level because they may have money or resources, and they don't realize that things are all messed up. And they're all messed up because there's no continuity to what it is that they're doing, and there's no proficiency in what they're talking about or what they are seeking to express. So when you have a dude who is wearing prep because he saw Ye, doing this back in early 2000s, and then he went to street because he saw Dipset doing that, in the early to mid 2000s, and then you saw him partying like a rock star when that whole thing was going around 2005 to 09, and then now you see him on this trap type of label type of situation, in the mid 2000s or the teens of the 2000s, and you're like, yo, bro, you in your 30s now. Like, that was cool when you was 20 to be all over the place and do all those different types, but you're in your 30s now. Where are you going? And we forget that what that's costing a lot of people is that's costing people's reputation, because how people are seeing you and perceiving you are now being measured through how they literally see you. And this is why I always tell guys, it's about your identity, your integrity, and the impressions you make. And maintaining these three eyes so that these eyes are in congruence. All these things are aligned, right? Because if you need to change these eyes, then you can change these eyes in the eyes of others. And so it's very important for us to have that awareness, because other things become, other times things become shaky, your integrity becomes fractured, and it becomes something that people are not going to really take seriously or believe. If I'm having somebody that's going to come talk to me about street style, but that's like me coming to you and talking to you about street style. You've never seen me in a t-shirt, jeans, sneakers, a fitted or a snapback cap, you know what I'm saying, with whatever the accessories are, because I don't even know the accessories, or when it comes to personal style, because my expression and my perspective is focused on being casually fly. Shout out to my man Gear, who came up with the term casually fly, as far as I know, of Gearism. So you should check out gearism.com. But in that space, it's about me saying, yo, I love soft tailoring. I love, suedes and the beauty that can come from velvets and tweeds and corduroys in the, fall and the winter time, and how you can layer all those different types of things and how those things can be dressed up or they can be conveyed very, very casually. I love that. So me talking to you about streetwear or urban wear is going to be false. It's going to be faulty, because I don't really know what I'm talking about in those situations. I would rather refer you to somebody who is deeply immersed in that element, who can talk to you not only about the shoes, but the hip hop culture that it's associated with, or the skating culture that it's associated with, or the casual elements of athleisure that it's associated with. And all three of those components could look very, very different, even if they may have some crossover. And so when I'm talking to people about what's right or wrong, especially when it comes to style, first I need to determine that they know what they are talking about. What's going on, Style Jumper? Please make sure, if you guys are watching this live or you're watching the replay, that you check out my man, the Style Jumper, who does amazing content as well. We got to do a Style Jumper. We got to do a collab on YouTube. See, since I'm official now. But what you end up moving into a space of is saying, okay, now I'm proficient in talking about this. Now, is it right, wrong, or is this subjective? Because if it's subjective, you do need technical elements that need to be in play. But on the other side, on the flip side, it is understanding those elements that allows you to deviate or to break those types of rules. So if now I'm aware of who I am, I have a lane that I'm working in, then the next thing that I can do is I can start building on that. So when people see me, they see the casual nature of my expression and how I put things together, and it has now become a part of who I am, what I represent. And now I added certain elements, my glasses, my hats that you normally see me in if you're following me on Instagram, or these scarves, especially in the fall and the winter time. I'm known for my scarves, my berets, and the jacketing and being well dressed in those spaces. Well, now I've created consistency and congruency in my character. I've created an integrity that people can stand on. Like, yo, if I invite Mike out to a dope party, then I know that he's going to come on 10. He's going to look the part. He's going to be well dressed and suited and booted in that space. I don't have to worry about him being like, well, what can I wear? Yo, I think I'm just gonna throw on some t-shirts, or a t-shirt, some jeans and some Timbs, you know what I'm saying? Because, that's how I feel. No, like, I understand the social dynamics and the social intelligence that I need to provide within that space. And what that ultimately does is it communicates to people that I know who I am, and it actually creates discriminatory practices. Why are discriminatory practices important? Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow, why you need to be discriminatory, despite what we've been seeing in on the other side, we don't want discrimination of race, color, or creed, but you do need to be discriminating in who you hang out with and why you hang around those people, because birds of a feather often flock together. And so you want to make sure that you're discriminating the type of people that you find yourself attracting and the type of people that you find yourself congregating with, because successful people will say, show me the 5 people that you hang around and I'll show you where you'll be in 5 years and how much money you're going to be making. Well, I don't want to be around no broke dudes, and I don't want to be around no lame dudes. I want to be around dudes who have integrity, who are about they ish, and who are solid when they step out because they know who they are. And solid doesn't mean that you have to be some tough guy. Solid doesn't mean that you have to be a hustler. Solid doesn't even have to mean that you're making a whole lot of money. Solid means that you have an alignment, as I've said before, of your identity, your integrity, and your impressions. And you are going after personal development and making sure that you are better with everything inside of you. And if you can do that, then I have no doubt that you're going to be successful, even if it takes you years or decades in order to do so, because this is a marathon, as God Bless the Dead Nipsey used to say, right? This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so because of that, I know if you're invested that much into who you are and what you're representing and how you're representing it, then you're going to be exactly where you need to be. And you can get time with me as far as I'm concerned. But we have to get out of this black and white, this objective mindset when it comes to right and wrong for subjective conversations. Even in this political process that we are in, I can't be mad at somebody who chose to vote Republican if I have not had a conversation with them, and I don't know what I really believe. There's so many people when I've talked to them, Democrat or Republican, who end up saying that they voted a certain way because that's how their family is voted, or that's what they knew, but they didn't go do any studies for anything else. Same thing when it comes to style. If I say, why are you dressing this way? Why are you showing up this way? And you have no basis for why you are doing the things that you're doing, that is dangerous, because that means that you can be influenced by outside entities that do not reflect who you are on the inside. And those are things that need to be addressed with no cap, with truth. So I want you to try that on, see how it fits you. I'm greatly looking forward to being here on YouTube and being back here. I'm working on these videos. These videos are kicking my butt. The live is easy because I can just hop on here and start talking. I'm working on the edits for the everyday conversations with no cap, as well as the systematic parts that we'll be talking about here in the dressing room. Always focused on your consciousness, which will be a mindset that will start at the beginning of the week, something for you to focus on and for you to begin building on. Then we will talk about the seductive elements, or the ways that you can utilize that to create attraction and interaction in social situations. And then the last part will be the style, so that you can see how everything comes together in life, as well as your sartorial expression. Saturdays, I'm going to be working on something just called Style Saturdays, where I'll be following a look or a stylist or stylistic type of person that you can see and that you can gain some inspiration from. So you'll have the psychological profile behind that, as well as how you can begin incorporating it into your own wardrobe and building it for you if it resonates with you. So stay tuned for that. It is a process. We're getting everything together, and I'm super excited to be here once again. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to DM me here. You can't DM me here. Send me a comment though. And you can always DM me on Instagram at Style Architects, StyleArchitects. And we can do a survey of style. And I am working on a course that you definitely should be checking out, called The Dressing Room, where we address your attitude, your aspirations, and make sure that they're all aligned, so that you can step out forever transformed and attract all the things that you want in your life. So outside of that, be great today. I hope today was a great day. And if you didn't know, you already are great. So now all you got to do is show up and show out in style. And above all, you should never forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you should always dress to express. And I will see, I forgot almost, with no cap. Don't have no cap. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.